Bing Crosby was a beloved movie star who dominated Hollywood and American culture for decades. He was also a devout Catholic and won an Academy Award for his portrayal of Father Chuck O'Malley in the 1944 movie Going My Way. A recent book, Bing Crosby, Swinging on a Star of the War Years, examines Crosby's influence on American culture. Lauren Ashburn has more.
Joining me now is Gary Giddins, the book's author. Gary, welcome to our broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
You have written in great detail about Bing Crosby's life. He's one of my favorite actors and crooners. But today I want to focus on the impact his role of Father O'Malley has had on American culture. He was a devout Catholic. His mother was a devout Catholic. He was raised in the faith. And you write that, quote, Father O'Malley emerged as a superhuman fount of liberal wisdom, empathy, and action. Tell us about the role that he created with Leo McCarey.
It was partly based on the priest that he studied with and grew up with at Gonzaga University and before that Gonzaga High School. He created a character who is able to work miracles of a sort. He turns a group of juvenile delinquents into a choir. He turns a cranky old Father Fitzgibbon, brilliantly played by Barry Fitzgerald, into Mama's baby boy when he brings his 90-year-old mother in from Ireland.
Let's take a listen to a great line from Going My Way.
Laugh and the world laughs with you, we used to say. Cry and you cry all by yourself.
What impact did Father O'Malley have on the perception of priests during that time period in the 40s?
I got a number of calls in the year after the first book came out, Bing Crosby, A Pocket Full of Dreams, from priests. Most of them, I imagine, were in their 60s or 70s at the time, and they all said that they decided to join the priesthood after seeing Going My Way.
The New York Times review of your book said Crosby's portrayal of Father O'Malley gave the Catholic Church its best PR. Today, the Catholic Church has been shaken by allegations of clergy sex abuse. In our exclusive Catholic in America poll conducted in September, 49% of Catholics had an excellent or good perception of how parish priests were handling those allegations. 31% responded fair or poor. So in today's culture, could a movie like Going My Way and a character like Father O'Malley still be produced and be successful?
I don't think so. You have to remember that in the years even preceding Going My Way, although it was considered a big mistake to make a movie about religion because the assumption was that nobody would go except members of that faith, but nevertheless there were a lot of movies with priestly characters played by Spencer Tracy and Edward O'Brien and lots of others, and they're always exemplary human beings, not quite as miraculous as the figure that Crosby plays. So in the 1940s, I would say in the whole post-war era from, say, 1945 to 1965, you have a number of things that are really improving the public image of what Catholicism means in the world, and specifically in the United States. You have the incredible popularity of Fulton Sheen on television. You have the election of our first Catholic president, JFK. And Going My Way and Bells of St. Mary's remained among the best, the most popular movies of all time, well into the 1960s.
Crosby reprised the role of Father O'Malley in the Bells of St. Mary's.
So proudly ring out while we...
Why was that important?
The first film, Going My Way, was so enormous that there was a tremendous demand for a return. And Leo McCarey got the idea of taking the most popular actress of that period, Ingrid Bergman, and without getting into a romantic liaison, he created a different kind of relationship for O'Malley, and it was an even bigger hit.
And she was a nun.
Well, yes, she plays a nun and a teacher.
You go into great detail about his life. He worked hard on his public persona, but his private life was reportedly difficult. He contemplated divorce, and after his death, one of his children accused him of abuse. How did his Catholic faith help guide him through some of those struggles?
Well, he was genuinely a religious man. There's no question about that. One of his servants told me that Mr. Crosby was on his knees every evening saying prayers, and everybody who knew him said that he never missed Mass, which he recited in the Latin. He was a choir boy, and he never left the church. And so Crosby was able to confess certain things away, but not deal with divorce. When Crosby had a second chance, he took it. And he was a very different father and a very different husband in the second marriage. He had 3 very successful children with his wife, the former Catherine Grant, and they all venerate him. I have to say that of the 4 sons, only one of them wrote that book, and one of them denied many of the allegations. Philip, the others admitted that life was difficult at home. But again, I think Crosby was trying to recreate in his home the sense of discipline that he felt helped mold him in a good way when he was attending Gonzaga.
I think we're going to have to leave it there. Gary Giddins, author of Bing Crosby, Swinging on a Star, The War Years, 1940 to 1946. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Lauren.